The following podcast is run by a couple of former wheel turners and one pit guy. It's meant for entertainment, not so much information, but sometimes there's some good information. The opinions expressed are just, these are the morons on the show. Not necessarily right, not necessarily wrong, not the views of any of the sponsors or anything like that. So, these guys, they're going to be talking, they might swear here and there, so if that offends you, either grow up or get a little permission from mom and dad.
All right, race fans, episode number 223. This is going to be a good one. We've got a special guest coming on here just a minute. But before we get started, episode 223, let's start with a shout out, Impact Health Sharing. If you're self-employed, you're a business owner, you pay for your own health care. Heck, if you're an employee, if you're looking at it, you got to pay for your own health care. If you're paying too much for health insurance or just simply don't have it because you don't want to, or you're stuck in a deal where you have to be locked in, right, to a specific doctor in a specific network that you don't like, I might have an alternative. Hit me up, 218-969-1380. Hit me up on Messenger, whatever you want to do. And I have a product called Impact Health Sharing that might be able to save you, just like I've been able to save a lot of other people, a ton of money. And it's been a great deal. You can kind of go to any doctor, no particular network in this deal. And above and beyond that, there's no open enrollment period. You can sign up at any time. So if you want some information or a quote on Impact Health Sharing, hit me up and I'll get you some info. So, Bert, Eastern Wisconsin, Shawano race this weekend. Did you make the trip? Did you head over to the big half mile this week?
I did not attend any races this week. We had our Lions Club steak fry Saturday night, so I did not make it to Shawano.
Oh, that explains it, Kraus. So, literally, I think the late model guys looked at it and said, you know what, fuck it, Bert ain't going to be here, right? If Bert ain't going to be here, why? There's no sense coming to race. There's nobody to entertain. So half of them stayed home. Bert, kind of a light car count there in Shawano. A little bit concerned. I guess maybe things will pick up. But what's your thoughts? You hearing any grumblings? Why the car count was so light?
I have not heard any rumblings. I mean, what really frustrating with it being light is this was supposed to be the first week that the Super 6 series is racing at Plymouth, but Plymouth got rained out. So, I mean, there were no other tracks racing late models, and Shawano Speedway only had 9 cars. There's several drivers who just had their cars sitting in the garage in the shops. And, I mean, drivers and car owners, they're entitled to do what they want. It's their money. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say you got to do this, but you have to support your tracks that race late models weekly, because there's going to come a day if they don't get the support, they're just going to drop them. I mean, Plymouth did drop their late models a couple of years ago, but some fans banded together and got some sponsorships to get them to race there 6 times. So, hopefully it changes. They're going to be losing the Franks and Bennett, though, it sounds like, for some of the weeks, because they're going to be following the Wasota Challenge Series tour, at least some of the races. So I don't know. Late model is a little sketchy right now in Eastern Wisconsin. Seymour, Outagamie Speedway and Seymour have their first late model race this coming Friday, so we'll see what kind of car count they get there.
Yeah, hopefully they get a decent car count. I know Shawano's also kind of in neck and neck competition with the Dirt Kings a couple nights as well. So there's just not enough late models to go around. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully things pick up. I made the trip this week last, Saturday. I went, me and Dave Dulciak brought the One to Go Show 83 down to #Falls, and it was a shit show. Kraus, have you ever had it like start of the season? We got to work the bugs out. Have you ever had that opening night where you're like, oh, what the hell is going on, right? If it can go wrong, it did go wrong. You ever have those?
Oh, I think between me and you, I think we all did those ones. You work so hard all off season, and all of a sudden you get there, and I remember I wrecked my car one night. You know, you have stupid stuff happen, or something falls off. You know what I mean? It happens. So it's you're gonna have those kinds of nights, but I also look at it and say, hey, let's get that behind us, and we can move forward.
Yeah, for sure. It's good. I always call opening night kind of a paid test session. Thank God he's not running for track points there. We went down there. He got a different engine guy this year. Should probably go to hard charger, but maybe we'll do that next year. And guys, he gets his carburetor back literally like a day or two before. Goes to start the car up. The shooter falls off. Carburetor's all screwed up, right? Had to go borrow a carburetor that hasn't been ran in 2.5 years. Goes out in time trials. Frickin' there was a piece of rubber stuck in the needle and seat. So that was a disaster. Goes out in a heat race because he had to start in the back, and it still doggy, right? But oil started leaking out of the valve cover. Bolt fell out of the right front shock. The freaking car's falling apart. I'm like, what is going on, right? What the hell? And he pulls off after a lap, and rain delay for 2 hours, but they started early. Good call on Fairbury to do that. And we finally got it back together, ran better in the feature, but he started last and kind of made the executive decision that we're not going to go out there after a rainstorm and bonsai through the pack to see if we can tear more shit up and make the night worse. Mainly just let's get in a little bit of a rhythm here, but not a good start for the One to Go Show 83. But he'll be rolling before we know it. So another shout out here, guys. This is new. You haven't heard anything about this, but I was talking to our sponsor, Brad Parson, Brad Parson Soil and Ag, and him aligned with the One to Go Show. We are going to start a new deal this week, starting this week, and we're going to start giving back to some drivers is what we're going to do. And essentially what he did is he kicked in $500. I matched that with Impact Health Sharing. So there's $1,000 in the kitty right now. We do our pick'ems every week. Whichever one of us wins the pick'ems at the end of the year, we're going to be able to pick a driver, and we're going to sponsor a car for the 2025 season with that money. And we're going to try to create a little extra revenue, talk to a few other places. When we get our shirt deal back on, our apparel deal back on, proceeds from that'll go to this as well. But we want to give back to the drivers. All you have to do to be eligible, get a One to Go Show sticker on the hot rod, right? Send us a picture, and then we'll pick out of those people, those that are supporting us. We're going to give some money back. So kind of a pretty neat deal. I'll talk to you guys a little bit more about it in depth about the how it's going to work. But I think it's a pretty cool deal to kind of be given back to the racers. So I know as a race car driver my whole life, I needed sponsor money. So we want to probably give some out to some drivers. Now, special guest. We got a guest coming on. He's waiting right now. But first, we better give a quick shout out to Brad. If you're farming, right, Western Minnesota, the Dakotas, if you're in that farming community, you're looking to make more money, you need the right stuff. You need the right chemicals in those spray packages. You need to give him a call, 320-219-3542, and learn about the products he has to give you better yields and put more money in your pocket. And I know there's a few people giving it a try this year, so thanks a lot to them for supporting Brad Parson and the One to Go Show. So without further ado, here we go, boys. So I don't know, we're going to see how this works out. We've been a little critical of this guy here, right? For a while, been a little critical and been around racing. I've known this guy for a long time, right? He's been around our sport. He's done a lot of different things, ran racetracks. Now he's the head of WISSOTA. We got Billiam on here. Billiam, hey, welcome to the show. Thanks for taking some time out. How you doing?
These guys are causing fucking problems. Sally called and said that the association wants me to go on your show and answer questions about this teching and my rules. Well, I'm here, and the last couple of weeks, you've asshole and Bart, you've caused problems, and then Crush, he's done doing whatever he doesn't do. He's done with. I don't know what he does. not work. And then who's the new guy? You got the oil change guy. I don't know his name, but he's on the show now apparently. Anyways, you fucking guys are in for a ride because Billy's driving now, and you may not like what happens, but hey, we're here now.
All right, Billiam. So here's the deal. A couple weeks back, we had a fan reach out to us and say, look, we think Coach Krause may be filtering a little information over here to Wissota. I don't know if this is true. You can verify. Is Coach Krause, is he in fact actually sending you these stupid ass ideas for some of these rules? Is this him? What's going on here? I tell you what, let's hear it from you. What's going on?
I don't know where you get this notion that Billy listens to people. I don't listen to people, and people can contact me and give me ideas of what to tech, and I don't do that. Now, this cold air box stuff, I figured that all out on my own. What I was doing is I was on my computer, and I ended up on some swipe left site, and there was a technical bulletin from a Red Star 29 or something like that. I don't know who it is, but he made a pretty good case for it, and I thought, that's something I need to start checking, even though it's not in the rule book or it's unwritten, and maybe it's I don't know, and I don't really care because it's Billy's world and Billy's going to do that. But this guy pointed me in the right direction, and he said that, there's people up in Canada, and I don't know why he listens to the people in Canada, but that's what he does. But they use it, and they enhance performance by storing their beer, and he said it gets really cold in there, and then they can drink the beer under caution, and I'm not going to have any of that. If I catch that shit, things are going to happen, and we're going to start throwing some people out, so that them Canadians, they can keep that cold air and that purple money up north where it belongs. And I just, thanks to the Red Star 29 guy.
Well, I got to be honest with you. Cold air boxes kind of makes sense. Canadians keeping their beer in that deal up in Canada, I don't doubt it. So you think about this. Back in the 80s, you know what they called super stocks up in Canada, up in Thunder Bay? Diamonds. They were sponsored by a freaking beer company. It makes sense that, Chernosky, he got caught, right? He got caught up in Superior, said, get that cold air box off, cheating, probably drinking beer. I don't doubt it. Who drinks more beer than them Canadians? Nobody. You coach them in hockey, Krause. I don't know. I think he's onto something here. I'm a little suspicious, Krause. What say you on this deal? I mean, is this true? Is what he's saying, is this accurate?
First off, I don't know what in the world Billiam is even talking about. I got nothing to do with any of this stuff. I got a hard enough time even getting my car to the track. Okay, let alone even like I said, I don't even know what a cold air box is. What does it do? You know what I mean? I don't know what it even is. So I don't know what he's talking about, what he's doing. Billiam, I don't feed him anything. Like I said, I'm a hockey coach. I worry about hockey. Racing's racing, man.
I don't know, Bert. He's kind of stammering over here. He's kind of backpedaling a little bit. I don't know who to believe in this deal. I feel like I should probably believe Coach. Billiam, kind of a stand-up guy, right? I mean, I don't know. I mean, Billiam, any thoughts on that deal? I mean, what do you think? Is Coach is basically saying you're full of shit? I mean, I don't know.
So, yeah, hopefully that puts that to rest. That's just how it is. And again, I don't know who the guy on that swipe left side was, but he seemed pretty wise, and I just want to say thanks for the Blizzard tickets because they came in real handy. So, but yeah, there's been no contact by anybody that I know of, and that's associated with you guys' show at all. Not at all.
All right, that's enough between you two here. That's enough. All right, let's go ahead and move on. I know Bert's got a question for you. Bert, you got a question here for Billiam. What do you got?
Yeah, we talk a lot on this show about teching or lack thereof in some instances. Now, we've heard that last year that there was a huge problem with teching in Wisconsin. Is that an accurate statement?
I'm glad you fucking guys brought that up because you can see I'm down there. I'm taking care of things. There's no not following rules here. There's a little bit of not being able to read rules and not understand rules, but those are Billy's rules, so that comes with the territory. But no, we're here taking care of things, and we're overcoming hurdles because that's what we have to do down here in Cheesehuggerland. Is they a lot of them don't know how to read. A lot of them just it's coloring books at this point, so that's what I'm doing. But yeah, no, they don't like the rules, and a lot of them don't understand the rules, and that's fine. That's a fair point, because I don't really understand the rules, and I don't really read the rules, and I think they take a little too much liberty that maybe they think they're Billy and they can use the old gut feeling, but they can't. So we're fixing that stuff up right now.
Well, I think he kind of hit the nail on the head there, Bert. I don't know. What do you think? I think he kind of laid it out. Now, with that said, right, one of these tracks, maybe he's talking about, I mean, he's talking about colors. I don't know what's going on in Wisconsin. I think they can read. I don't know what Billiams, he's kind of talking shit to these Wisconsin people. I got to have their back. You know, I don't know what to say, but I will say this, you know, the new promoter over in Rice Paddy did come out at the pit meeting, said, here's the 2024 rule book. We're going to go by it this year. And lo and behold, at the opener, somebody got a 30-day suspension already. So I don't know. I don't, maybe these guys over there are a little bit apprehensive about following the rules, but they might have to now. I mean, Billy seems like he's on top of shit. I don't know why you guys doubt him. I really don't understand, but I think he's getting his shit together here. So here's another question. All right. So, in fact, I tell you what, Kraus, I know you got a question for him as well.
Yeah, Billiam, you know, the premier WISSOTA series is coming to Viking Speedway this weekend. And since, you know, WISSOTA is all huffy and puffy about this being the premier series, I was just wondering if you're going to make the trip on over to Viking Speedway and help tech.
Hey, you guys got to wrap this up, because I got to go. I got bigger shit to deal with here. I got there's late model drivers that are putting these big airfoils on the back of their roofs, and that's going to come to an end. And that's coming to an end real quick. And Billy's there's gonna be an unwritten rule, and then there might be a written rule, and then there might be an unwritten rule to supersede that written rule. But we're gonna get rid of them big wings that they got on the back. I don't know. Everybody's saying, well, it's not that big of a deal. Well, it is a big deal in Billy's world, and it's the fight that Billy's taking on right now. So that's all the time I got for you fucking guys. So I want you to stop, causing issues, and I'm glad you didn't bring up the abominating tires or any of the other things, and we didn't besmirch the name of, the association, and that's it from where I'm at. And again, I just want to give Coach Kraus a thanks for them tickets, even though I never met him and don't know who he is.
Looks like he's heading down. You late model guys, bunch of fucking cheaters, right? You all got these big diffuser deals on the roof here, illegal, downforce, a bunch of cheaters. So Billiam's coming to get you. All right, you guys better be on your toes. Okay, they said you can run that this year, but looks like Billiam's coming down. He's got a little bit of agenda, so Kraus looks like you will see him this week. Billiam, I guess he's gone. He already checked out. Kind of pissed him off a little bit with that. He's a busy guy. He's got a lot of shit going on. He's ahead of WISSOTA Teching here, but I don't know. What do you think, guys? We're gonna have to get him back on the show here and kind of have him keep us informed throughout the season. What do you think?
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. Keep us in line.
Well, Kraus is a freaking troublemaker. I don't know. Kraus kind of playing for both sides here, right? I mean, I don't know what to think. I mean, you can't trust him hockey players. He's got a red race car for frick's sakes, so I don't really know what to think there. But Billiam will come back on. We'll get him on. Thanks for taking some time out of your day to kind of straighten things out. So let's jump into the top moments and stories of the week. Brought to you by our friend Nick Hoff, Hard Charger Performance Specialties out in Sydney, Montana. So Nick, he's been building engines for over 20 years. I had engines of his. I know Provenzino did. We won races with his stuff, had a lot of success. Great guy, down to earth, easy to get along with, passionate about helping his customers. Not only does he build engines, he does gears. He has the only dyno where he can schedule time within like a 500-mile radius of Sydney up there. He's the crate guy. So if you're a WISSOTA guy, you run a crate engine, you need it fixed, you're in that neck of the woods, he's the guy to get a hold of to get your crate fixed as well. And it's a crate, so it's going to need fixed. So you better get to know this guy. So how do you get a hold of Nick? 406-478-4437. That's Hard Charger Performance Specialties. All right, boys. Number 5, Christmas in May. Not in December. Comes in December, too. Christmas in May. Your reigning Wissota late model national champion got an early gift, right? Kind of like what I'm gonna get your guys' thoughts here, but needless to say, lap one turns himself around in 3 and 4. Doesn't happen often. Yellow comes out, gets his spot back. Collected Sean Meyer. I think Sean Meyer get a flat in that deal. Kind of ended his night. But as I looked at the replay, I did notice that over in 1 and 2, a guy spun out over there. I don't know if they called it on that guy. Lucky break, and it's going to take some lucky breaks. Some go for you, some go against you. He capitalized right on that second opportunity, drove off into the sunset to get his first win of the season. Your thoughts on that whole deal in Fergus Falls with old TPO facing the wrong way on lap number 1?
Well, like you said, it was definitely a Christmas present, and it is what it is. It's happened to all of us. It's happened to you. It's happened to me. The tough part about that deal with Sean Meyer, I know the Meyers pretty well. They used to be regulars at Viking Speedway when we had late models, and I know they're pumped up to come back this weekend. But that was the tough part. He collected the pole leader and he got a flat tire and had to pull in, and they really didn't know what was going on. A lot of the drivers I talked to, especially Sean, said they just came over the race fever and said, complete restart, let's go. So nobody knew. From the sounds, I don't know if they announced who it was. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. So there was some little bit of some speculation going on here, like, well, hey, what's going on? And then all of a sudden you see the replay and you see the I think the double OC caused the spun out over in 1 and 2. So complete racing deal. Sometimes you got to be lucky to be good, but and especially on a night like that where there wasn't a whole lot of passing and wasn't a whole lot of stuff going on, you needed to start up front. So I just feel really, really bad for Sean Meyer. I know he was excited to start up there. Hopefully would have got a really good solid finish, and that would have been good for him to get a good start to the season too as well. But like you said, Christmas did come early.
Yeah, and he acknowledged it right away in victory lane. First thing he said is, I got a gift there on lap number 1. I mean, he knew. So, Cross, let me ask you this. In your racing career, I mean, you've had a long career, won a lot of races. Is there a moment that sticks out to you that you're like, and maybe it was the right call, maybe you felt like you got a gift, but is there one in particular you're like, oof, I got a Christmas present on that one?
Boy, I'd have to think about that. I really can't think of anything off the top of my head. Usually I was always getting the short end of the stick. So, cause I was always usually when you're the aggressor, on more side of things, and don't laugh, cause I learned from you too, Brian, about short ends of the sticks and things like that. But, usually when you're the aggressor, you're the kind of usually the guy who gets thrown in the back. But, as you race and race the longer you race, the more things even out. So there's no doubt about that. I can't think of one moment where, hey, oh boy, I kind of maybe got away with one, or sometimes when you're racing so close, sometimes you just tap somebody in the bumper and you can't really tell, and they go around, and you kind of just stay up in your position and keep snooping up there. But I'd have to think about that for so long. I know nothing's happened recently, but it's something that happens. Like I said, at the end of your career, it usually evens out in the end.
I remember 2004 Labor Day shootouts. I ended up starting 13th in the feature, and I'm working my way up to the front. I get up into the top 5, and I fucking yard sale it right off the end of turn number 1. I'm like, what the hell just happened? Like, I misjudged it getting into 1, tried going outside of somebody, and I come back on the track, right? And they line me back up in 4th or 5th. I'm like, what the hell? Like, we didn't have race receivers back then, right? So I'm like, I have no idea what the hell's going on. I'm like, well, that's weird, right? I go on to win the feature from 13th after. I'm kind of like, what the hell happened? Well, somebody spun out in the same thing as TPO. Somebody spun out on the other end. Lucky, right? I mean, like, holy shit. Like literally, I drove right off the end of the racetrack. I probably should have got last. And so, yeah, it definitely evens out. That's for sure. So, number 4, new challenges. Bring out the passion. And Shane Sabraski, of course, he's got, 872 feature wins, something like that. He's approaching 900. But his first in a late model, parked in victory lane, tip of the cap, one of the best ever in the Wissota country for sure. Cool seeing him win. But the cool thing, guys, to me, was he got out of his car. He's up on top of the roof. He's pumping his arms. Well, let's be honest. Shane, I love the guy, right? No personality, right? He is vanilla. He is like dry toast, right? That is Shane. He's like, I've won that many races. I'm going to act professional. He just doesn't get overly excited. This is the most excited I've seen Shane Sabraski in a long time, and that kind of reinvigorated things he needed to get in that late model. Your thoughts on the 7A finding victory lane in that late model?
Yeah, I think the big thing for me is I think it's what WISSOTA needed. We needed our top premier guy, and obviously he's still in the super and the modified to get in a late model. We've all been waiting for it. It's time. Hey, we need to get Shane Sabraski in a late model. It sounds like he's going to follow the challenge series, which would be absolutely awesome. That's what that series needs. There's no doubt about it. So that was my big takeaway out of that thing is, hey, we got probably one of the greatest of all time, tons of feature wins. Now we got him winning in the premier division, and that's exactly what WISSOTA needed, what the sport needed right now, is to see him get in the late model and win. So, and I'm super excited. Hopefully he's coming to the challenge series this weekend to see how he can do, race against all those guys, TPO and Dorr and Kanta and Radetzky, and you get all the big boys. Get Burdick down here is running fast. There's nothing going on up there this weekend, so hopefully they come down. But that was my big take is, hey, we got kind of the guy in WISSOTA right now in a late model, and that's where we need him.
Bert, did you get a chance to watch any of the WISSOTA stuff? I know you watched all the open stuff.
I saw the last 5 laps or so of that feature race, and it's not like he just cruised to a victory. I mean, he had to earn that victory because he was being challenged. I lost the lead once or twice and regained the lead. And, it just goes to show that it doesn't matter how many victories you have. The passion for racing comes out when you get a big victory. And so that was good to see. And another thing I noticed about that, I don't know if you guys noticed it. I mean, I'm not a driver, so I noticed stuff like this, but he was really working those rear brakes. Did you see the rotors on that car?
Yeah, the really aggressive. I had people going, "Oh yeah, he's got traction control in that thing." I don't. I mean, they got super highly aggressive. Dexton Cook's got the same pads on his super stock, but you kind of trail brake that thing in there, and then things just kind of light up and they're glowing. But yeah, I definitely did. I would boil all my brake fluid out. Everything's totally different than it was 100 years ago when I raced. But I did notice that. Yeah, it was just lighting right up. And there's a few cars that have that. And Kraus, you might be more in tune what's going on here, but they're running different rotors, different pads, everything on them, aren't they? Like really, really highly metallic shit.
Yeah, and super aggressive. I think you even saw it. I don't know if you guys watched the Cedar Lake features with the. Did you see the 410 sprint cars that they had there, the IRA sprints? All those guys were glowing. Well, when the track's like that, they couldn't get their cars to turn. And even if, I think Fergus might have been laying a little rubber too, you get super tight there and you got to ease it in there and you hit the gas. So they're getting real aggressive with that stuff. And, you see it on a lot of newer cars too, because everything's new. It hasn't wore in yet. So you've been seeing that a lot more often. Like I said, I picked up right away. And usually sometimes you see it on sprint cars, but all of them sprint cars at Cedar Lake were doing it on Saturday too.
For sure. Number 3. Black Sunshine or Black Cloud? Scott Bloomquist's hunt for victory lane kind of took a little bit of a hit this past weekend. Bert, I know you watched this race. Fill everybody in. What happened with the old voodoo child?
Well, it took a couple of hits, not just one. Yeah, in the feature, I don't know, it was midway through the feature or so, or 3/4 of the way through, and that's a super fast track. I can't remember where they were racing, but that is a fast track. And it was towards the end of the straightaway on the front stretch. I don't know if something broke or what happened, but Bloomquist veered to the right and got into, I think Ferguson spun him, and then they were running 4th, 5th, 6th, somewhere in that range. So there was a slew of cars coming down the front stretch, and it was just bumper cars after that. I don't even think Bloomquist got the worst of it. I think there was a couple other cars that might have even got beat up worse than Bloomquist's car. So That's too bad to see. Somebody posted on the Bloomquist fan page that he won't be back out until the Dream with a new chassis. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But so it may be Eldora before we see him race again.
Yeah, it looks like he's probably going to be off the Hunt the Front tour, and he took a hell of a hit. I mean, he hasn't taken extremely good care of himself, so I don't know how he's feeling after that. That was down at Ultimate Motorsport Park in North Carolina, but yeah, that thing took, I mean, a big shot. That was like a big parking lot in the front straightaway for sure. Number 2, championship preview, perhaps in the World of Outlaw sprint cars. David Gravel fending off the 10-time champ, and Donnie Schatz maybe showing a little bit more fire than he has in recent years. A little dog still in that fight. Coach Kraus, your thoughts on that battle there between David Gravel and the 10-time champ Donnie Schatz?
Yeah, well, absolutely. It's probably what the series need, with some guys jumping ship, and Sweet being the defending champion and not being there anymore. And I Schatz wants to get off that 10. He's been on that 10 for a while now. He wants to get to that 11. There's no doubt about it. Gravel's he races with a chip on his shoulder too. So, and he's been really, really fast. So it's exactly what that series needed, to kind of get rid of the distraction as far as, losing some guy, the high limits, that whole deal. Kind of everything's focused on that right now. And not to throw out, Schuhart and Hodenchild and Macedo and the rest of those guys up there too. But it's going to be super, super interesting and super, super fun to watch. I hope it stays this tight all the way down to the end, and we can get down to Charlotte and actually have an awesome points battle down there. But it's like I said, this is exactly what this series needed right now. Having your 2 superstars, obviously one of the Kinzer, Schatz, Swindell, that's probably the top 3 all time. Having him in the mix to win a championship is exactly what they needed.
Well, they asked at one of the high limit races here a month ago or so, who is your Mount Rushmore, right, of sprint car racing? This is not a high limit race. Every one of the high limit guys, Donnie Schatz is on that list, right? And yeah, he hasn't been Donnie Schatz of old here the last couple of years, but he's a little reinvigorated right now. So he's super hungry, wanting an 11th. David Gravel looking for his first. So it's going to be exciting. Bert, your thoughts on the World of Outlaws?
We're definitely, we may not be mentioning Schatz's name more often than we have in the past, but we're mentioning he's not being mentioned on the not hot list like he's been mentioned a lot in the past on this show. He's running very well so far this year, and that was a great battle between him and Gravel. They were throwing sliders against each other, and Gravel just happened to come out on top in that one.
Yeah, that was a fun one for sure. So our top moment of the week, brought to you by Fastlane Motorsports and Powder Coating up in Ashland, Wisconsin. Of course, proud sponsors of the #1 series in all of Wissota racing. That's the Northland Superstock Series. They do custom powder coating, fabricating. They build the Galloper chassis. They service a lot of racetracks throughout the Northland. They get any part you need. Get a hold of Chris and the crew up at Fastlane Motorsports and Powder Coating in Ashland, Wisconsin. #1, to infinity and beyond, the Reaper, Ryan Gustin, capitalizing on a seemingly kind of a rare mistake. Pierce kind of was that guy that made a lot of Sheldon Hodenchild mistakes here in years past. Not so much in the last couple of years. Your thoughts on the Reaper, Ryan Gustin, parking it in Victory Lane, and your thoughts on this new Infinity by Wells chassis?
Well, Gustin is definitely making the Xfinity by Wells chassis work. He's running better than Overton is right now. So, that's kind of interesting. And, Gustin had a great run there at Mississippi Thunder. Everybody expects Pierce to win the World of Outlaws, but that wasn't the case this weekend. And he hit a rut and kind of threw him up into the wall a little bit, which sealed the victory for Gustin. But and we'll talk about this a little bit later when we talk about the race. But I thought we were going to see Pierce versus Turbo Part 2 in that race.
Well, let's just, I mean, if you want, you can just, I mean,
Okay.
we're on that topic. I mean,
Okay.
go ahead and touch on that. That was pretty spicy. That could have been spicy for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Turbo threw a slider. I believe it was a slider on Pierce. And in the very next corner, I mean, Pierce went for him. I mean, he went for the rear quarter and he couldn't quite get him on the rear quarter. And then I don't know if it was a lap or two later, he threw a slider on Turbo and then, was ahead of Turbo. But yeah, I thought when Pierce went for the rear quarter, I thought we were going to see Turbo versus Pierce Part 2.
Bros, let me ask you this. You're always up for a good brawl. You're a hockey guy. Could this be a thing, right? Are these two, I mean, they're going to see a lot of each other. Turbo's not going to follow Lucas. They're probably going to see each other all weekend. I mean, do you think that bad blood has ever really left? I mean, is it still there kind of brewing? And how cool would it be if Turbo decided in 25 to just follow the World of Outlaws and we get to see them head to head every week?
Yeah, it's absolutely still there, and Turbo's not going to let that go. He's never going to let that go. That incident at Cedar Lake's never going to go away. And Turbo's not the guy just to kind of let that go. He went in there, and like you said, Bert, he threw a slider and he took his nose off. And here's the flip side of that. Pierce going after him right there cost him the race, because did you notice after that Pierce took off? Pierce was sandbagging, saving his stuff. Because Hoffman said it in his interview too. Pierce was sandbagging, and then all of a sudden Turbo wound him up, and he took the lead in what was it after that? A couple laps. He went by those guys like they were parked, and he was gone. And Bobby Pierce did not lose the race by bobbling going into one on the last lap. He lost the race because he was a wimp going through traffic. That's what his issue was. He should have roughed up Hilsebeck, and he said it in his interview. He said, I should have just door slammed him, and he's 100% he should have door slammed him. So he lost that race in traffic, and he basically lost the race at the end because he was trying to win the race. He got a little tight, hit that hole. So we're not going to see Bobby Pierce that wimpy, so to speak, in traffic. I think he's going to get after it and body slam some guys out of the way, but I think the whole world wants to continue to see Turbo and Bobby Pierce go at it.
Illinois Speed Weeks this week, 4 bull rings. I tell you what, if something's going to happen, it's going to be this week. I don't know. Bobby Pierce kind of tough, but I think Turbo would whoop his ass. I would take Turbo over Pierce. I'm just saying. Back to the Reaper thing. Could we see more drivers, right? Jump ship from the Longhorn deal to this Infinity by Wells deal? I mean, could this turn into a real thing?
Well, I think it's inevitable that that's going to happen. That I think that always happens when everybody gravitates towards one chassis, because then drivers feel like, if they're not winning in that chassis, the drivers who are winning are getting the preferential treatment. So then the other drivers want to, try the next best thing, and they'll gravitate to a different chassis. So I think it's inevitable that that's going to happen.
Proust, let me ask you this. So a lot of drivers got a little bit better. Pierce got better getting into that Longhorn. He definitely got better. Chris Madden, not so much. Madden, he is slower, but he may have burned the bridge with Rocket switching to Longhorn. Could we see Chris Madden in an Infinity by Wells, or is there too much bad blood there between him and Overton?
No, I'm not going to throw anything out of the equation. Now, does Infinity have they have their own jig? Are they building their own? They have their own jig.
Yep.
So obviously it's a mere copy to a Longhorn, and let's not beat around the bush here. Okay.
Well, somebody posted that right on Gustin's deal, and he came on there. He goes, "If you're so smart, you think it's a copy of a Longhorn? Come on down, take a look at my hot rod, and you'll see that it's completely different. Feel free." So Gustin kind of took a little offense to that on social media when somebody said it's a Longhorn copy. Now, let's face it. I'm sure they've all taken bits and pieces from multiple different places, but yeah, Gustin was pretty adamant about no. We worked hard on this deal together, and you guys don't know what you're talking about. So I'm just saying.
Yeah, well, don't BS a BSer, because that's what Gustin is, and there's no way he's going to let anybody come down and look at his car. Come on now, Ryan. Okay, so let's just all go down there. You know what I mean? Let's have Pierce go down there. Let's have Bishop go down there. Let's have McCready. Let's all go down there and take a look at his car, right? Guess what? he ain't gonna let those guys look at his car. So we're not dumb. It's like I said, it's not. It is what it is, and they start their own deal. But we talked, last year and the year before, Ryan. Longhorns got everybody right now. They're not going to keep everybody happy. You're just not. It's those guys. Someone's going to start jumping ship. Now the thing's fast. Gustin's winning, and he beat Bobby Pierce. You know what I mean? Someone's going to sit there and say, "Hey, let's go." But you're all right. Some of these guys. Look at Shirley. Shirley tried it. It didn't work. There's been other guys that have tried it, and it doesn't work for him to switch chassis. So it's going to be interesting to see. But we're going to definitely have. There's going to be a couple guys doing it, and if they want to really, really make a takeoff, they got to put a big name in that car, bigger than Ryan Gustin and bigger than Brandon Overton. They got to put a big name in one of them cars.
Them are pretty big names, especially Overton. A couple years ago, he had a huge year, but you're right. I think they're just on the very beginning stages of that deal. I can see that growing into something here in years to come. So let's jump into a little fan feedback here, Kraus, brought to you by
Elevate-visual.com video production. Make sure if you need any drone work done, any video work done, our boy Brandon has been after it. He's getting ready to go this weekend at Viking Speedway doing the production there. He was up at I-94 Speedway last week doing the video production up there. So he's a racer, man. We got him hooked into racing. So make sure if you're a business owner or a real estate agent, you got any land that needs drone work done or any sort of video production done, get a hold of Brandon at elevate-visual.com.
Thanks a lot, Brandon. So Neil has his first question here. He goes, Red Cedar Speedway has officially canceled the rescheduled 2023 Dwayne Mader Memorial. So they've rescheduled it, 87 times? I think 3 or 4 for sure. But Mother Nature just not cooperating. A, why did they finally cancel it now? And B, is it the right call to cancel it and split the purse? So the reason they canceled it now, as per I actually talked to some sources within the, board of the Red Cedar Speedway, they got a phone call from WISSOTA. And somebody unnamed, I do not know who, but somebody called throwing an absolute tizzy about the fact that they're scheduling this race and it's interfering with other stuff, and you can speculate who that might be. I don't know. But needless to say, they're like, this is interfering with all kinds of different stuff. This is bullshit. They got to cancel it. Well, there's only one big race going to happen, and it wasn't even a WISSOTA race, so there is that. But WISSOTA essentially told them that, A, you have to either split the purse or you have to drop some other classes, and then you have to run, they kind of had to jump through a bunch of hoops to make it happen, and it just ended up being better to cancel it. Now, with that said, I think they should have canceled from the get-go. Now, I get they had a sponsor in there, and the sponsor's like, we want the race to happen. I mean, you put money into it, you want the race to happen, but let's face it, from 2023 to 2024, there's drivers that aren't even in the same classes, right? There's people that, you take Daryl Nelson, he's starting towards the front. I know for sure in the late model, and he's still got health issues. He isn't even ready to race yet. So essentially, I think it come down probably the right thing. Split the purse, call it a day. Let's move on to 2024. Your guys' thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's unfortunate that they weren't able to race it, but yeah, there probably comes a point where you just got to pull the plug and just move forward and prepare for the 2024 race and just move on.
Coach, do you think that WISSOTA should be able to dictate? This is essentially a special race, right? The Twin 25s, they have a race and then they have another feature. The Rumble has the race and an extra feature. There's no points. It was essentially an extra race. It didn't matter. It didn't affect anything points-wise or whatever. Do you think WISSOTA should just kind of mind their own P's and Q's in this, or should they have the latitude to tell a track what they can schedule and what they cannot?
Well, if you're getting rid of the points deal, so it's obviously not going to affect anything last year. Granted, it happened then, and you carry it over, and like you said, with different drivers not being in it, and now all of a sudden, if there are track points or national points, you know what I mean? I think to a point they can, if that stuff, but I don't think they can dictate and say, hey, you you have to cancel this race or you can't run it or you have to run it. You know what I mean? If they want to make the race up and not have any points and do it, and you're getting into stick areas with points again and rules with soda rules. So there's a lot more to the story than just, hey, we want to race and let's do this. So, teams got money invested this. They got pit passes paid. I think eventually some of them just want to get their money for being there. It is a great purse. Hey, let's be in with this, divvy up the money, keep everybody somewhat kind of happy. And it's a super tough situation, Ryan and Bert. It's something that's never ever happened. So I don't know. I think WISSOTA needs to keep an ear to it, but not step in and say, hey, you have to do this. You know what I mean? I think there's to a point where they got to do something, but don't step in and try to dictate it and run the show.
Ultimately, I think it's best for everybody that they just cancel it, split the money. So I think at the end of the day, this is probably the best case scenario. There was a lot of drama that happened with rescheduling this at the end of last year, but I think finally it's coming to a head. So Steph actually got a gal here shooting us over one. She goes, I am super excited that the XR Super Series has changed their schedule. She said, I live in the Twin Ports. It's going to be in Superior, Proctor, Ogilvie, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, the 1st, 2nd, 3rd of July. Originally, it was going to be the Minnesota Mega. It was going to be, 12, 12, 30 or something like that. All three at Ogilvie. And now it's 15, 15, 50,000 to win. And at 3 different racetracks, Proctor Speedway never had a open late model race. Kind of cool. She's like, the week before, and this works out perfect, right? Because the way they had it before, nobody was going to come. Like we talked about it, and it's like they're running against a ton of stuff, including the World of Outlaws. Nobody was going to be there. They were going to get 4 or 5 cars and a bunch of WISSOTA guys. Now, the week before that, they run at I-94, Grand Forks, and Ada. The week after that is the Gopher 50 at Deer Creek. So that week, all the World of Outlaw guys are going to be in town already. So now they should probably get pretty much all the World of Outlaw guys. Lucas, they're not running against them. A little travel deal they might have to kind of deal with. But I think the car count's going to be way better. He's like, as much as they keep changing plans, and they have, XR Super Series has changed. I mean, it's been crazy. She goes, as much as they're changing plans, am I safe to schedule time off from work to attend these races?
I don't think you're ever safe doing anything these days. You never know what's going to happen.
So, Coach, would you look at it and say, barring anything happening with weather, I mean, do you think this one's set in stone? Like, is it pretty fair to say that they're probably not rescheduling this whole deal? This looks like it's a win-win-win for everybody. I think it's probably pretty safe to take that time off.
Yeah, they went through some lengths to get this deal done. There's no doubt about it, and used their heads and said, hey, there's no super late models in this area. Okay, there's not. And you don't want to have 3 or 4 in a full-blown WISSOTA show. You might as well just run 3-day challenge series then for that kind of money, which would be a great show too. So I think if you're going to do those shows, especially up in this area, we want the big names to be here. We want all the, the Bishops and the Pierces. We want all those guys to be here. So yeah, definitely take the time off, schedule the show. I think it's going to be awesome. $50,000 to win at Ogilvie. I mean, come on. That's going to be absolutely awesome. It's $50,000 to win the USA Nationals, is it not? So right. You're sitting right there right now with the big show. So super cool. Hats off to Barry and the Wegmans and Nate for getting that done, and the Proctor and Superior as well getting that done. I think that's awesome that they got that rescheduled to get all the cars up here, and everybody's going to be off that. It's 4th of July. It's in July anyway, right around that weekend. Take 2 weeks off for all I care, and hey, go watch racing. You can go anywhere you want. Take 2 weeks off. You're going to get a couple days off anyway for during that time too. So have some fun and enjoy I think it's going to be awesome shows.
Huge week for late models for sure. Bert?
I think Coach Kraus is just handing vacations out to people.
Well, that's okay. Go ahead and just send your invoice over to him. If you don't get paid time off, Coach Kraus can probably take care of you a little bit. So, Bert, we had a pretty cool one come in from Derek. I had you printed out. It was pretty lengthy, so I didn't get it written down on my notes. But why don't you read off? We got a message there from Derek, a fan of the show from Southern Minnesota.
Yeah, this is from Derek. It was a great weekend of racing. The Chisholm boys had a pretty good weekend. I hope Joe stays around home and runs for points at Mississippi Thunder, Deer Creek, and Mason City. He is going to start winning features, and I believe he will win 2 track championships of them 3 tracks this year and multiple features. I also believe Jim is going to be the USMTS champion. Also, them boys can really drive. I see Sabraski won a late model feature this weekend at I-94. My question to you, who is better at this point in their career, Sabraski or TPO? Sabraski has a lot more years and wins, but when you pull up to any track, who do you have your money on? I'm going with TPO 7 out of 10 times. That is no disrespect to Shane and all he has accomplished. It's just TPO's time.
It's a good point. So the Chisholm boys, I mean, obviously we got to be fans of the Chisholm boys, right? I'm going to call them the Balkan Township boys because Chisholm's a suburb of Balkan Township where I grew up. I think they named them after my hometown. They're on fire. There's no question. Jim Chisholm legitimately could walk away with $100,000 here in a couple of weeks. The TPO Sabraski deal, gonna be interesting, right? Because Sabraski a little bit reinvigorated right now, jumping into that late model as a rookie. TPO had a huge year as a rookie last year. I don't know which one's more hungry, right? Because they're both hungry, but they're both not. TPO is like passionate about racing, but he likes to do other stuff, family stuff, and all that stuff. I don't know. Right now, if it was smooth and slippery, I'll take 7A. If it's a little bit of character, cowboy up, banging the berm, I'm going to take TPO. Kraus, what do you think?
Yeah, you're right. This is super interesting question here, Ryan. It's it really is. Really makes a guy think about it. You know, and it's I think, you know, it's to the point. I think this guy, he wants to separate these guys. Well, the only way you're going to separate these guys is to put them in the late model and let's go toe to toe with the big boys of Wissota. Let's go run the Challenge Series. You know, see if we can win that. See if we can drive on out to Wisconsin and beat Cantador and Radetzky out on their turf. You know what I mean? I think that's kind of the next stage. You know, Shane's beat everybody in mod. He's beating everybody in the super. Now let's, you know, and obviously, you know, TPO had a good last year, you know, kind of regionally with the late model. You know what I mean? That's nothing against him. That's where he's from. There's fast late models out this way too. So super interesting question. But I think the end of the day, we want to see them both in a late model going toe to toe in the premier class. And she ends up who's being the best. And I think it could bring out the best out of both of them. Maybe give them both a little extra fire there too. So thanks for the question, Derek. That's a super interesting question. And something, like you said, Ryan, hack away on their comments down low and let's get a TPO 7A debate going.
Bert, what's your thoughts on the outside looking in?
Well, I noticed in Kraus's answer, he didn't actually pick a driver. He really didn't answer the question. So I'm going to answer the question. And if I had to pick a driver, if they were both in the same race and I had to pick a driver, I will pick TPO just because, like you said, I think, you know, if the track has a little bit of character and it's a little elbow up, you know, I think that would be my pick.
All right,
I don't think either of you really answered the question, because the question was at this point in their career, who's better? You know what I mean? And I think if you go, he's trying to think, saying TPO is a little bit younger. I don't even know actually how old he is. I think Shane's right around our age. Is he not right? Well, you're an ancient dinosaur, so who knows how old you are these days? But he's kind of, you know what I mean? So, like I said, that's why that's such an interesting. I think it's too early to tell on TPO. Obviously, he's winning and he's fast. But how do you not take 7A right now is the real thing with all his wins and what he's done. And I mean, I've raced against him. Ryan, you've raced against him. And, you know, he's that number. I think he wants to get to 1,000. I think that's a little fire under his belt too. You know, that'll drive you too. So, like I said, I think that's just a super awesome question. just to debate about.
So Shane, if you're listening, Bert said you got nothing for the TPO. I'm just saying.
But one thing in Krause's answer was, he mentioned, hopefully they'll both run the Challenge Series, and I think that's what the Challenge Series is for, is to get the best of the best out there competing against each other. So hopefully we'll get to see that, and let's settle it on the track.
Yeah, she opens up this weekend. We'll talk about that in just a little bit here. So I got one more question here from our boy Dan. And so Sheppy, let's just face it, right? I mean, he's kind of showing some flashes, right? I mean, he's still talented, but he ain't been the same, right? He literally has not been the same. Did Mark Richards and Rocket Chassis make Brandon Sheppard look better than he actually is?
I don't think so. I think Sheppard is a very talented driver, and I mean, definitely he had very good equipment. Well, he had the best equipment that there is in the late model world, which I'm sure helped him. But I don't think it over exaggerated what his talent is. Ryan, you've mentioned this a lot of time. When a driver's not winning as much or not doing as good, you say, they're busy doing other things. Well, I've noticed on Facebook over the last couple of weeks, Brandon Sheppard posted about him dabbling with racing a sprint car. He posted a picture, and what I'm going to say, I fully support. I mean, family is very important, and you need to spend time with your family. But, he posted a photo. He went to his daughter's spring concert, and then he had a long trip to get to the races on the East Coast. So he needs to spend time with his family. But sometimes that takes away from your racing also.
Yeah, Changa told me cuddling makes you slow. I'm just saying. He's domesticated. I don't think Mark Richards necessarily made him look better than he is. I think maybe he brought the most out of him. I think, he demanded that. And I think maybe that's why they parted ways, because Mark Richards is obsessed with winning, right? And he's looking at it going, like, I don't give a shit about your family and kids, and not that he doesn't, but at the end of the day, like, winning is number freaking one. And if you're going to do all this other stuff, you're just not the guy, right? And Sheppy's like, no, I got a family. So I think it's a little bit more on the domesticated side and just that lack of fire. Coach?
Yeah, I think, to be honest with you, I think the Rocket House Car and the Longhorn House Car are on opposite ends of the spectrum. I think the Longhorn House Car is an R&D car, and I think the Rocket One House Car is a win now. All we want to do is win. That's just what I think. And Brandon Sheppard made them that. And when you remember when Sheppy was with Rocket, he needed to prove something, and he needed to make a name for himself, because you remember he took over for his kid. That injury that went on there, and he filled in for him and ended up taking it over. So he had something to prove. And then you put him with Mark Richards, who all he wants to do is win. It's over with, and that's what it was. So, and I don't know. It just seems that I think that's an R&D house car. I really do. I don't. I'm sure they care, but it doesn't seem like they do. And Longhorn's going to probably win the show regardless, whether it's RTJ or Pierce or whoever it is. They're going to win. Rocket's not in that boat where, if the Rocket One wins, it's a big deal. So I just think they're opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yeah, that's a good point. So let's jump into our closing thoughts from the week. We touched on a few races. I know we have some thoughts. We watched some other stuff. There was other stuff going on. But first, a shout out to one of our other sponsors here, Coach Gross.
Yes, Turbine Chassis and Flat Out Performance. It's that time of year. We're getting things rolling over here in Wissota country. You're going to see some Turbine Chassis, some modified, some super stocks, maybe possibly some street stocks, things like that. So you need any fab work done, you need a new chassis, anything like that, make sure you get a hold of Jeff Flatten over at Turbine Chassis and Flat Out Performance in Hancock, Minnesota.
Absolutely. So, Bert, let's start with you. Other than what we talked about already, any other things that stuck out from this past week's events?
Well, I mean, as I stated, I didn't go to the races at Channel Speedway this weekend, but there's some sad news that came out of Channel Speedway this past weekend. Corny Schmidt, who's Hall of Famer who was inducted into the Channel Speedway Hall of Fame, he passed away over the weekend. I mean, actually, he passed away at the racetrack during the races. But he loved the races. He raced when he was younger. He was a flagman at Channel Speedway for many years. He was a race director for many years at Channel Speedway. He was 88 years old, and actually last year when they had Retro Night, he was back in the flag stand to throw the green flag for the first race of the night. So that, so he would have been, 87 at that time. And so that was cool to see. But, our prayers go out to the family, and definitely he was a legend at Channel Speedway.
Anything else stick out to you this week?
No, not really.
Sounds good. Well, Coach Kraus, you got a couple notes there, a couple things that maybe we haven't touched on.
I got one big thing. One thing I want to talk about is the modifieds at Mississippi Thunder, Ryan. They went with their open, basically run what you brung, whatever series you are. So the big showdown in Mississippi Thunder 100K win, they're basically you're either a WISSOTA car, you're an UMP car, you're an IMCA car, or a USRA car. And they let everybody race this weekend. They had UMP cars there, they had WISSOTA cars there, and they had USRA cars there. No IMCA cars down there, Ryan, and they had a good chunk of them. So, Dale and Murray all of a sudden jumped in Kyle Brown's other car. So it's interesting to see these drivers hopping into USRA cars. I think they're probably saying the IMCA guys can't compete. And it was really interesting to see track conditions and how the UMP cars did. If it had a little stick to the track, you weren't touching an UMP car. Those guys were fast. They were quick time and hot laps. They won a couple heats. They kind of stayed there in the feature, but they weren't really there. So it was. I really watched that mod deal and really wanted to see how the rules played out, how the cars reacted. So that 100K race down there is going to be super, super interesting. Tell you one thing, Bobby Pierce has got a hot rod, and he's going to be in the mix in that 100K deal because that thing was fast. Every time he hit the track, he got faster in that thing. So that's going to be I can't wait for that show. That's going to be a lot of fun. So that was one takeaway from the weekend I saw. Like I said, I was pretty much homesick watching racing all weekend, and I was super, super interested in the mods down at Mississippi Thunder to see how that whole deal is going to play out. So, I'd like to see some more WISSOTA cars get down there. Truscott was there. There was a couple other guys there. But if I'm bringing my WISSOTA car down there, I would have been down there this weekend, sure. And I know there's a lot of stuff going on here, but if I was the 7A or the 2C or some of these fast WISSOTA guys down here, I would have been down there this weekend to see what I needed to change. You're not going to race for $100,000. Then they'll probably do it next year, but maybe they only do it 1 year. So that was my big one take that I wanted to talk about, and super interesting, and can't wait till end of May, beginning of June to see how that plays out.
Well, and you're spot on, because knowing Barry and how the XR works, a lot of times it's, well, we're going to do this year, we're going to do something different next year, and so that could be a one-time deal, right? So you might have one shot at this, and those, you talk about the UMP cars. Ethan Dotson was super fast. He got in the top 5 night 1, broke. He won his heat going away night 2 and didn't go to the tech shed for whatever reason. Like, it's his first time. It was night 2. Like, what are you doing? And so that set him behind the 8 ball. But then local guys, no joke. I'm telling you, the Chisholms, Jake Tim, Lucas Schott, Brandon Davis, home-built chassis, second both nights. That's impressive. We talk about, Longhorn, Rocket, and late models, right? There's like, God only knows what chassis is going to win down there, because there's so many good ones in modifieds, including the home-built car from Brandon Davis. Now, IMCA guys, it sounds like they're going to give them a 7-inch blade to go on top of their 400 horsepower pickup truck motor. I don't know that you want to haul a 7-inch blade around with a pickup truck motor. Probably not going to be good. I saw Barry posted, well, they're going to be pretty good at the end of the night when it slicks off. So write this down right now. IMCA car is going to dominate the D main. They are going to be super fast come D main, C main. They're going to be the car to beat. Probably won't be any in the feature, just saying. But yeah, that's going to be interesting. Super good race. The track was good. I think they got that place figured out, and that group of people that runs Mississippi Thunder, they are absolutely passionate. They'll do whatever it takes to make that place good. So I'm really excited for that as well. Bert, did you get a chance to watch any of the mod racing down there at the old Mississippi Thunder Speedway?
Yeah, I watched the heats and the feature the first night. I didn't see the action the second night. But it was great racing. I mean, both in the late models and the mods. I mean, it was 2-3 wide. Now they have different dirt on Mississippi Thunder, right? I mean,
yep.
To me, I mean, it races different, but it's still very racy. I mean, 2-3 wide racing, but the racing was different. It didn't have that huge cushion up by the fence like it normally does.
Coach, I totally agree. I mean, they're going to find a cushion. Yeah, they will find a cushion at that place. You got to remember the weather's been pretty crappy, so I know they left it hard to make sure that it didn't turn into a complete dumpster fire. They did not want to get much moisture in the track because of the weather. Coach, anything else that stuck out over this past weekend?
No, that's about it. We covered everything else. And no, I just want to touch base about Mississippi Thunder and getting everybody excited to watch the modifieds.
Yeah, I got a couple things here really quick to touch on. So I went to Falls, G.O.A.T Albertson. Dude, I'm telling you right now, his shit is fast. Last two Lucas races, a pair of thirds. He won at Farmer City and he won at Fairbury. I get it. It wasn't the Lucas group coming in, but G.O.A.T Albertson looking pretty sporty. Another thing here, Cade Nelson, we talked about him, third generation driver. He won his third in a row in the USRA late models. A good birthday win for him. Worst call of the week. I had a bunch of text messages come in. Brandon Kopp, just how bad did he get screwed on that deal with Tanner Williamson at I-94? Your thoughts on that call, Kraus? Because I know you saw that one.
Yeah, that was pretty unfortunate call, and battling for it up front. Track position was huge that night, and who knows? I don't know if someone did. Obviously somebody had to see it, because you're not going to make the call in the 22 because you saw the 88 go sideways, and he didn't slide him. He came up a half a lane, and 88 turned down on him, got in his quarter panel, and spun himself. So super tough deal. I know Kopp, Brandon, he's not going to. He said, I got basically the raw end of the stick, and, he's going to keep racing, but tough deal. I do have one more thing. I forgot to mention Christopher Traum, I believe it is, correct? 410 sprint car guy, new track record at Cedar Lake Speedway, 10.74 seconds, Bert, at Cedar Lake Speedway in a 410 sprint car at the IRA deal. Had heartbreak because he had that race wrapped up and ended up, roll or break or something that blew up or something. So, but I had to go back and look at the lap time. It was 10.74 seconds at Cedar Lake. I'm like, holy smokes. That is flying. 20-year-old record. So kind of cool deal there, especially, the famed Cedar Lake. So it's cool that, he's got the track record under his belt.
Yeah, that place was wicked fast after the monsoon they got over there. Electric City Speedway in Montana had their Midwest Mod special. Joey Price parking it in Victory Lane, and that, congrats to him. And kind of one of the, I guess, funnier moments of the past weekend is Turbo's Joyride, right? So for those of you that don't know, he ran at Mississippi Thunder on Friday. He ran there on Saturday, decided I'm going to go to the Adams County Speedway on Sunday for the Lucas Oil MLRA race. Well, a lot of these guys travel at night. So they get their shit all loaded up, put in the hauler, he punches in the GPS, right? Adams County Speedway, and we're on our merry way, right? It's all fine and good. Everything's great. Life is grand until you get within an hour of the racetrack and you realize that you're going to the wrong freaking state. He literally punched in Adams County Speedway in Iowa, and the race was in Illinois, and he ended up taking like a 250-mile detour to get to the racetrack. Now, with that said, it paid off because he got his first win. I guess he did win. I think he won one down at East Bay, but his first win in a while for sure. So he parked it in Victory Lane. But Kraus, have you ever done that where you just punched in like the wrong destination and you're like, holy shit, where the hell am I going?
No. I hope I've never done that. I don't travel that far, but I can see it happening, especially when you get down to, Iowa and Illinois and that deal. And there's a lot of states that's the same, racetrack's the same name, or I-35 or I-36 or whatever it may be. But no, that's a funny moment right up turbo. Cool that he had to end up getting the win. He probably had a little chip on his shoulder there too. Extra fuel money he needed, and he got her done.
Yeah, that is classic turbo. I got to be honest. I kind of like the guy. He was actually, they interviewed him too. I think XR maybe interviewed him, and he basically, I don't know the exact words, but he basically said everybody on social media a bunch of dumbasses. Like I didn't drop off the Lucas Tour. Last you checked, I didn't miss a race yet. I'm just a better weatherman than everybody else. So I mean, kind of hard not to like him. He's unapologetically himself. So Bert.
I do have one thing to add. You mentioned Turbo dropping off the Lucas Oil Tour. I did see a story where he said he dropped off the tour because he doesn't like some of the tracks that the series races at and stuff like that. Well, that's all fine and dandy, but if you were in the top 5 in points, you would not be dropping off the tour, no matter if you like the tracks or not.
Yeah, that's probably accurate. Yes, he's 11th in points, way out of reach of the top 5. That's probably the determining factor. But he is right, because if you're following a series, there's going to be tracks on that schedule. You're like, God, that place sucked. But you have to go because you can't fall out of the points. So he's not totally wrong, but Bert, very good point there for sure. 2024 pick'ems, boys. So, of course, a little new meaning. We're going to figure out somebody at the end of the year is going to pick who we're going to be giving a little bit of money to for the 2025 season. So this past week, Curtis, Changa, and myself, +9. Here I'm all pumped, +9. And, of course, 1 and 2 in the points right now. They were also +9, so that kind of sucked. I will say, though, that I was kind of an outlier. I was the only guy to pick the thrill from Mooresville, Nick Hoffman. He got me points both nights, so that was kind of a lucky guess right there. Bert and Mike +7. Bert, you were an outlier as well. You were the only guy to take Sheldon Hodenschild night number 1 at Eldora. That paid off for you. Worker B and Good Jeff +6. Dan +5, Coach +3, a little rough week for you. Big Bad Brad +2, and Man Bun Dan, your protege there, co-host of the Dirt Podcast, +1. Good job, you got a point there, buddy. Congratulations. So our points right now: Curtis at 99, Changa at 94, Brad at 82, Bert, you and I are tied at 77. I crawled back into it a little bit. Dan at 76, Coach at 75, Worker B Kent at 73, our Uper representative at 61, Man Bun Dan at 58, and Mike at 56, literally 2 points from crawling out of the cellar. Can he do it this week, guys? Can Mike crawl from like despair? He was 20 points back. Can he pass Man Bun Dan this week?
You got first off, you got a nickname, Man Bun Dan, and Bromance. That's those two guys' nickname. So maybe they have a bromance together. I don't know. I'm throwing it out there. Man Bun Dan. Maybe they're just hanging out together on the weekends, and we don't know.
Yeah, I guess I'm not sure. I mean, we'll find out. I mean, you're gonna have to put a little spy on that. So I'll look ahead to this week's events. Brought to you by our friends at Daytona One Performance Lubricants. Buck, the founder of Daytona One, he's actually in the Hall of Fame for lubricants, very well educated in that regards. And understand this, his goal is to help people save money, help things last longer. A lot of great products. Check them out on Facebook. Check out their website. And, if you're a racer, you're like, man, these tires probably don't want to be putting on brand new tires every night. They have a treatment for that to help you get more out of your tires. You're going to want to give Chad a call, 507-828-3536. He's the regional rep for Daytona One Performance Lubricants. Check their stuff out. They got some great products. So I'm going to read off the shows that we're picking here this weekend. and I will let you guys, I guess we'll all just kind of say who we have. So World of Outlaw Sprint Cars got 3 races this weekend. Night number 1 is Wednesday at Lincoln, PA. Friday and Saturday at Williams Grove. Bert, who do you got?
I'm taking gravel Wednesday, shots Friday, and Macri on Saturday.
3 different drivers. Bert throwing a little curveball. Coach Kraus.
I got gravel, shots, gravel.
And I did exactly what Coach Kraus loves, and I went gravel, gravel, gravel. I did that just for you, buddy. That is 100%.
No skill. You got no skill. You got no skill.
For you.
You
For
played hockey.
you.
You played hockey and Hibbing. You got no skill up there. Okay.
Look at the scoreboard, young grasshopper. I'm just, I don't know.
You
I'm
lost.
mad at you.
You lost the Tier 2 championship game to Greenway. Okay. So you got no
First
skill.
of all, I didn't play for Hibbing. Okay. Fuck Hibbing. Played for Chisholm.
Who'd you play for?
Chisholm.
Oh,
Chisholm
straight
Cook.
shit. Wasn't Hibbing Chisholm back in the day?
It was Chisholm Cook. Hibbing was our rival. Hibbing was our rival. We beat Hibbing.
Okay, you're still technically playing Class A. Me on the other hand, played in the AA state tournament. So you were the no skill guy, so you got to take gravel, gravel, gravel.
Section 7 much tougher than that cream puff schedule you guys play. I'm just saying. Just point that out. All right. High limit sprint cars here this weekend, Friday and Saturday. 34 Raceway on Friday. Saturday, Tri-City. Bert.
Courtney's been killing me, so I'm going sweet times 2.
No skill. Unbelievable. Coach Kraus.
Sweet times 2.
What the shitting me, right?
Brains.
Hypocrite.
Smarts. You got to have the smarts.
Young Money Kyle Larson, night number 1. Brad Sweet, night number 2. That's who I got. All right. See, I got skill. I pick a different guy at these races. I'm not doing what Kraus is doing here. Illinois Speed Week's coming up here Wednesday and Thursday. Castro Flow Racing Night in America. Wednesday at Spoon River. Thursday, Lincoln, Illinois. So, Turbo, not Lincoln, PA. Lincoln, Illinois. Make sure you punch in the right racetrack there. Bert, who do you got at the flow races?
Wednesday night, Bobby Pierce. Thursday night, RTJ.
Coach?
Wednesday night, Bobby Pierce. Thursday night, Brandon Shepard.
Well, I guess you can't give me shit about this pick there, Coach, because Wednesday night, Bobby Pierce. Thursday night, Brandon Shepard. So we kind of got the same there. All right. Lucas Oil Dirt Late Model Series. Friday, Farmer City. Saturday, #Falls. Bert.
Pierce times 2.
Coach?
RTJ Friday and Pierce on Saturday.
And I went with Brandon Shepard at Farmer City and Bobby Pierce at #Falls. All right. The Wissota Challenge Series this weekend. We got Friday at I-94, Saturday, your home opener at the Viking Speedway, and Sunday at Little Jimmy's Sandbox. Who do you guys have, Bert?
Friday, I have the Double One Express. Saturday and Sunday, I have TPO.
All right. Door, TPO. Coach Kraus.
Friday, I have TPO. Saturday, I got Ryan Michelson. Sunday, I got Bart Simpson.
All right. Fair enough. I like it. Friday, I got TPO. Saturday, I kind of had to go with, I took your family. I took Coach's uncle, Uncle Donnie. Don Shaw going to go down there. Coach Kraus is going to have to see old Don Shaw, his uncle, come into his house and take their money. So Shaw is going to win at Viking. And Sunday, I got Cole Steering. NLRA opener at the Devil's Playground, Devil's Lake, North Dakota. Saturday night competing against the Challenge Series. Kind of an interesting deal. Not enough cars to go around, but not a lot of them NLRA guys probably head south too much anymore anyway, so probably not a big deal. Bert, who do you have at Devil's Lake?
Gresseth.
Coach?
Gresseth.
I am going to go with the rookie in this one, and this place could be elbows up, super fast, little high-octane racing. I'm going to go with Colin Hibden to get her done up at the Devil's Playground. All right, guys. 3 bold predictions. A lot came off the board. Yes, Bert?
Are we picking the Wasota Mod Special?
Oh, shit. I don't have that down. Donkey award to this dumbass right here. We probably all got the same, but all right, Bert. All right. There is a 1,200 to win with Wasota Modified Special. Why don't I have that on here? At Rice Lake Speedway, Saturday night, 1,200 to win for the Modifieds. Bert, who do you got?
Buzzy Adams.
Coach?
Buzzy.
I'm going to have to stay the same. Human highlight reel it is. Kevin Buzzy Adams. He's got 2 wins already, looking to make number 3 this weekend at Rice Lake. All right, 3 bold predictions. All right, so Jeff kind of went through and he kind of found some of the old ones that had to come off the board. So, Bert, you had 2 come off the board. First, this past weekend, you said Bobby Pierce would win at least 3 combined at Mississippi Thunder. He ran good. He did. He's on the podium. He was there, but did not get her done. Episode number 217, you said Carson Macedo would be the first repeat winner in the World of Outlaw Sprint Cars. That was also not the case. Good Jeff had 3 come off the board here. First, in episode 207, he had 2 of them. He said Cedar Lake Speedway will open as scheduled in 2024. That happened. That's a correct one. And he said the Ironman Shane Sabraski would have a late model A-main win before July 4th. Probably should give him 0.25 of a point because that's kind of a bunt, but we'll give it to him. That is absolutely, that happened. Congratulations. And he said Brandon Shepard would finish top 12 in the Woo Sprint Car debut at Jacksonville. Well, he did get top 12 in the heat race, but he didn't sniff the starting grid in the A-main, so he got that one wrong. Coach Kraus, you had 3 come off the board as well. Donnie Schatz on the podium all 3 nights this weekend. That did not happen. He missed one. Missed one there. He said Corey Day podiums all 3 and wins 1. That did not happen either. And you said on episode 214 that there was going to be 80 USMTS mods at Humboldt. There was 53, so you did not get that one right. The Peanut Gallery had several come off the board here because we had Kenny and Changa here. So Changa last week said Bobby Pierce would podium both nights in the late model, but he would have no top 10s in the modified. No faith to Changa, no faith. He got top 3 there, night number 2, so that was wrong. He also said that David Gravel would podium all 3 and win at least 1. Well, he got 2 wins and a 9th. Would have podiumed, but he got a flat tire running second at Eldora. Might have won that one, so that's kind of a bad beat there for Changa. And he said Brad Sweet would win at least 1 and lead with the point lead. And he did just that. All right. Kenny said no driver would double up in the races we picked this weekend. I think that Sweet doubled up, didn't he?
Yes.
So that, yep. He said Mother Nature would claim at least 2 of the races we picked and claim the Lucas Oil races. Kind of a bunt there with the weather forecast. But here's one. 50% or more of the races that we picked this weekend will be won from 10th or better. So our statistician, Jeff, decided to give him credit for that, but we're only going to give him 0.5 because that is like the bunt. That is like way worse than anything Bert ever has done as far as laying down a bunt. Like, we're going to have half the guys win from inside the top 10. Come on there, Ken. Come on, do better. All right. Episode 209, the Peanut Gallery said 10 different winners between Lucas Oil and World of Outlaws in 2024. There's already been that. Already been at least 10. Episode 210, 3 nights at East Bay. This is an old one. I don't know why it didn't come off the board. 3 nights at East Bay. There would be new winners on 3 of the nights. There was not on 3 of the nights. And in 211, Brandon Shepard wins 2 before March 1st. And he did have a split feature win. That doesn't really count, but he did not get 2 official wins before March 1st. I had a couple come off the board here. I said Corey Day and Tyler Courtney would have a better average finish than Rico and Brad Sweet. Well, Corey Day struggled this weekend. He didn't have a very good weekend, so I got that one wrong. I said East Bay would be back in 2025. He took this one off the board. Unless something changes, we can get rid of this. It's probably wrong. And I said that when Hudson O'Neal departed there, I said Hudson O'Neal would join SSI in a second car. That's where he would land. And he's got his own team. So that was wrong as well. So our standings, we keep track of correct predictions and percentage. Good Jeff at 11. Good Jeff at 11. The Peanut Gallery, 9.5. Slightly ahead of Bert at 9. And Coach here ahead of me. I'm sucking hind tit. I'm terrible at this. I suck. The percentage-wise, Peanut Gallery, 30.6%. Good Jeff in second in that. And Bert, you're third. I'm fourth. Coach Kraus, I got a slight edge on you in percentage. I got a lot still on the board. So we're going to jump into this week's bold predictions to close this thing out. So I have predictions from a few of our listeners here, and of course, Good Jeff as well. So we're going to make 3 laps around the track. Bert, let's start with you. We'll go to Coach Kraus, and then I'll roll through our other picks. Your first of 3, Bert.
All right, Lucas Oil late model action. I am going to say that a non-Lucas regular will win all the Lucas Oil features this week.
Okay, so Bobby Pierce or Brandon Shepard. Fair enough. Dick Hoffman. All right, Coach Kraus.
Yeah, I'm going. We're gonna go Challenge Series Friday, Saturday night. 40 or more late models will be in attendance Friday night and Saturday night at I-94 and Viking Speedway this weekend.
It should be good. I'm pretty excited for the races at I-94 and at Viking. I mean, I-94 gets a pretty good car count anyway, right? And I don't think Grand Forks opens yet, so they should get a few of them guys filtering down in there. Pretty good. Should be a good race. Viking Speedway, I mean, you get that place. I mean, there's a lot of speed there. I mean, a lot of history. There's been some very, very good late model drivers that have raced weekly at the Viking Speedway. So it'll be interesting to see who comes in and takes it home at the high flying half mile. All right. So Good Jeff, his first one here. World of Outlaw regulars will have more podiums at the 3 World of Outlaw sprint car races this weekend than the Pennsylvania Posse. Woo regulars versus PA Posse. The Woo regulars will have more podiums. Kenny, Wissota Challenge Series. At least 5 drivers will have multiple A-main wins in the 2024 Wissota Challenge Series. So there will be at least 5 different drivers that have 2 or more wins in the Challenge Series this year. That's pretty bold. That's a pretty bold one right there. Kent has one here. He said, Bobby Pierce will podium all of the races that he attends this weekend. So there's 4 on the schedule. Bobby Pierce will be on the podium in all of those races, all unless there's rain. So all that happens. My first one here, I'll stick with Pierce. This one's going to be another one that I'm laying out there for later. There's a lot of, I tell you what, them guys running up front right now in points in World of Outlaw, right? You got Sheppy and Hoffman. They've been consistent. Hoffman's been good. Bobby Pierce will not finish in the top 2 in the World of Outlaw points at the end of the year. He will not make it back up to the top 2. He's 118 points back right now. So, Bert, your second lapper on the track.
All right, I'm going to do this one until I get it right. Falls late model action. The podium will be filled with Illinois drivers.
On which night?
Falls.
Okay, Fairbury. All Illinois drivers on the podium. Okay. Coach?
We're going to go World Outlaw Sprint Cars here. By the end of the week, Donnie Schatz is going to cut David Gravel's point lead in half. He's got a 48-point lead right now. So by the end of the week, it's going to be 24 or less.
I like it. Boy, we'd like to see that. He's the guy we cheer for. That's for sure. All right. So we got Good Jeff here. Good Jeff's second prediction. non-Illinois late model drivers will have more podiums than the Illinois late model drivers over the 4-night Illinois Speed Week swing. Non-Illinois drivers, more podium finishes combined than the Illinois drivers. Oh, that's pretty tough. That's pretty tough. All right, so Kenny, his second one here. Viking Speedway, high flying half mile. In 2024, there will be at least 5 first-time feature winners between all the classes this year at the Viking Speedway. At least 5 first-time winners. All right, Kent, his second one here. Old worker bee Kent. Kent will work at least 872 hours in the next week. Kidding. Inside joke. Inside joke. TPO will podium all of the Challenge Series races that he attends this weekend. TPO on the podium at all the Challenge Series events. All right. My second one. At the Challenge Series races this week, super stock drivers, people that have a history of being in a super stock former super stock racers, right? There will be at least 2 former super stock drivers in the top 5 at all 3 Challenge Series races this weekend. At least 2 former super stockers. We know what class is it. Right, Kraus? We know what's up. All right, Bert, your third and final lapper on the track.
All right. I'm just trying to decide how bold I want to be. I'm going to
There will be a race this weekend. Good one, Bert. Good one.
I'm going to go Shawano Speedway. The winner of the late model feature will be a first-time feature winner.
This Saturday?
Yes.
Okay, first time late model feature winner or first time anything?
First time late model feature winner.
All right, first time late model feature winner this weekend, Saturday night, Shawano Speedway. All right. Coach Kraus, your third and final lap.
We're going back to the WISSOTA Challenge Series. Between Fergus Falls I-94 EMR Speedway and Viking Speedway, those 2 races, there is going to be 6 different drivers on the podium. So there's going to be no repeat podiums, 6 different drivers. So I'm going bold, Bert. Different tracks, different stuff going here. So I want to see some parity this weekend. I think we're going to get it.
That's an interesting one for sure. You're right. That high flying half mile is totally different. 100% different racetrack than Fergus Falls. All right. Good, Jeff, here. On nights, the Woo Buggies and the Illinois Speed Weeks both race. So Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday, they're both racing. The World of Outlaw regulars combined, late model and sprint, will have top 5s. They will combine for more top 5s than the Illinois late model drivers. So the World of Outlaw regulars, right, between those 3 nights, sprints and late models combined will have more top 5s than the Illinois late model drivers. So I'm assuming if Brandon Shepard, for example, that would just be a push, right? So that just is what it is. So that's an interesting one right there. So he's got a lot of hate for the Illinois drivers. I don't know what the frick's up with old the Youper there.
Well,
all right, so we got Kenny's third and final one. World of Outlaw Sprint Cars. There will be 4 different drivers that have at least 2 podiums this week. So completely opposite of Kraus. Kraus said it's going to be all different drivers, at the Challenge Series races, Friday at Fergus, Saturday at Viking. There's 3 World of Outlaw races happening. 4 drivers will finish in the top 3 at least 2 times this weekend. All right, so we're going to go to Kent's third and final one. We're going to go Viking Speedway opener this Saturday night, Super Stock A main. Coach Kraus will not finish in the top 5. All right, little haterade there from Kent. No top 5 finish for Coach Kraus. What he doesn't know is, obviously, as we discussed earlier, your buddies with Billy, probably going to get half the field disqualified, so you're going to get their bite no matter what. So it is what it is. So, Kent, you're probably shit out of luck on this one. I'm just saying. All right. I am going to go Illinois Speed Weeks this week, and I'm excited for that. I love them Illinois bull rings. They're going to be fun to watch. Garrett Alberston will podium at least 2 of the nights this weekend at the Illinois Speed Weeks. Garrett Alberston's been running good. He's going to have at least 2 podiums this week. So, tell you what, I'm pretty excited. I'm heading north. Little disappointed. Gondik Speedway and Hibbing Raceway both canceled. They had to. Weather's needs to be a swamp up there. I haven't heard about Proctor yet. If they're going to race, it's Mother's Day, so I'm going to go up and see Mom this weekend. Excited about that. Hoping maybe to catch a race. Maybe I can talk Dad into making a road trip on Saturday down to Viking. I guess we'll see what happens. But Bert, you're going to Shawano this week?
I'm going to Shawano, and I think I'm going to go to Seymour Friday night since the late models are there. So
I like it. So you can have a little info for us. And Coach Kraus, you're racing Saturday night, taking the old One to Go Show 29 Star out of the barn. You're gonna find Victory Lane or what? What are we gonna do here?
Well, that's the game plan. I went golfing yesterday. I'm gonna probably go golfing a couple more times this week to get in shape for racing. So my foot doesn't cramp up, my calf cramps up every opener. Because I'm pedal to metal guy, Bert. You know, that's all it is. So no, my dad's real antsy. I can tell you that. He's called me like 3 times this week, ready to rock. So bought some new tires. I had to break down and buy new tires, Ryan. So we're ready to go. But basically spent all week getting ready for the 59th annual season opener at Viking Speedway, Ryan. Next year's going to be 60. That's a lot of years. That's a lot of years with the racetrack. So pretty excited about that and getting the Challenge Series to town. Hopefully, like you said, hopefully get that 29 Star in Victory Lane and shut some of you Pick'em boys up.
Well, good luck to you. We want you to represent, right? You got the One to Go Show on the car. We want to see that in Victory Lane 100%. So good luck down there. I'm sure you guys will have a good show. You guys have been chomping at the bit to get the season started at Viking. Should be a good field of cars down there. Let's face it. I mean, you look at that. What's racing this weekend? It's Challenge Series. Are all classes there? Is there anybody taking the night off or?
No, we got all classes. We only have 5 classes to begin with.
Right.
So it's tough with the opener. We didn't want to drop anything. We want the opener. We want to get everybody in. So I think Ogilvy's running Saturday now, I believe. They don't have late models. Obviously, they worked with us to do some things too. So, pretty sure Fiesta City Speedway is opening up on Friday. So, make sure if you're down on that neck of the woods, you can get down there. So it's starting to open up. So we're looking forward to, like you said, at the end of the day, we're a WSOTA show, Ryan, and we're going to, we got to make sure we're pumping them WSOTA tracks.
So race fans, I'm going to end with this. Get out to a racetrack this weekend. Do whatever you can, get to a racetrack. And if you can't, jump on, Dirt Race Central, they got all the action. Pretty much all the WSOTA races are on Dirt Race Central. But let us know what's going on, right? It doesn't have to be all drama, right? A lot of people send us the juicy stuff, which is good. We like that, right? But if you think somebody needs a shout out, sometimes we maybe miss something. Shoot us some stuff. Shoot us a question. Shoot us a feedback. If somebody's hot, if somebody's kind of rolling, they deserve a little bit of love. Let us know. You can message me, Kraus, Bert, any of us. We want to help keep us informed on what's going on. So, Bert, are you excited to get to 2 races this weekend or what?
Yeah, I'm excited to get to 2 tracks, and also this weekend at Shawano Speedway is the first race of a 4-race series for the IMCA stock cars. There's the winner of the 4-race series is going to get at least $1,500. There's over a $10,000 point fund for those 4 races. So I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing some non-regulars show up at Shawano Speedway to race in that.
For sure, but obviously you're a homer, right? So you want to see your hometown guys kind of like defend the turf, right? That's kind of what you're looking at.
Yeah, I want to see some good racing is what I want to see.
Fair enough. So as always, a huge thanks to everybody for listening. Hope you enjoyed the show. Shout out to all of our great sponsors, and thanks for tuning in to the One to Go Show.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, please leave a review and subscribe. It is Puka. And Goat Sports has another show out there by podcast, Facebook, and YouTube. It's the Tea with Miss McGill show. Covers hockey, high school hockey in northern Minnesota. So if you're into hockey, you can find us on podcast under Tea with Miss McGill. You can find us on YouTube or Facebook, Goat Sports Media LLC. Yours truly and Coach Reed Larson. We break it down every week. We also do some interesting interviews. We'd love to have you. So tell your friends, tell your enemies, and we'll catch you next week.